Hello, welcome to Crypto News. Today is the 5th of April, 2025, and the top news for crypto is as follows. Let's start today's episode with stablecoins, and then we'll move on to the SEC in America, which has issued some new guidelines for stablecoins that, if properly backed, are not considered securities. Basically, all stablecoins that are fully supported by physical fiat or short-term with high liquidity and are pegged one-to-one with the dollar are not considered securities. However, algorithmic stablecoins have not been 100% legislated, and most of them have been excluded, so be careful with those. After these new guidelines from the SEC, we'll move on to our exchanges, starting with Coinbase, which is now offering options for XRP. Specifically, Coinbase has submitted options for Ripple's XRP to the CFTC. If everything goes well, according to the exchange, this particular product will launch on April 21st, thus bringing additional utility to XRP, as you can imagine. However, the most exciting thing about XRP comes from small investors. According to Glassnode data, small investors are choosing XRP over Bitcoin. Specifically, daily activity addresses in XRP has increased by 490% compared to just 10% for Bitcoin since 2022, signifying a boost in profitability. If we look at the chart, we'll see exactly what I mentioned. It's clear that a large percentage of people have been buying XRP in the last few weeks, as its price has started to rise significantly. Staying on XRP, let's now look at the OKX exchange, where Malta's regulatory authorities have imposed a $1.2 million fine for violating anti-money laundering laws. This fine was imposed for a past violation committed by OKX. However, the same authorities have since inspected the exchange, and it has improved significantly since then. Moving on to currencies, we'll start today with Cardano, which is gradually introducing digital identities on its network. Specifically, the Cardano Foundation launched Viridian, an open-source platform for digital identity management. In addition, the Viridian wallet is being introduced, allowing users to securely present their identities on the network without sharing sensitive data. I'll include the official blog link in the description, and an interesting detail I noticed is that the wallet supports what's called post-quantum security. This indicates that the wallet is designed to withstand threats even from quantum computers when they eventually pose a risk to crypto. Moving on from Cardano, let's head to another Layer 2 project coming from Aave. Specifically, Avara, the parent company that owns Aave, has announced the Lens Chain mainnet, a layer 2 for Ethereum, if I'm not mistaken, which is very fast and low cost. There won't be a new gas fee token for this. Instead, users will use GHO, Aave's official stablecoin, which will be used to pay gas fees on this new layer 2. And for the final news of the day, let's end with some theoretically positive news for the Solana network. We've learned that Pumpfun is reopening live streams for 5% of users, but under stricter surveillance rules. Previously, Pumpfun had a service that allowed users to live stream. However, many of these live streams raised concerns about what exactly people were doing during them, and this is something very typical that I show you as an example. Let's say that since then, because many such strange things were happening, Pumpfun closed this service as a result of losing a lot of its audience. And now we learn that it opens for specific people, and this may increase the use of the Pumpfun platform and therefore on the Solana network, because Pumpfun is on Solana. Moving on, we will also go to the crypto market with Bitcoin standing at $83,000. And as we said in the previous episode in Crypto News, the rest of the space in the world, after the taxes imposed by the US begin to impose tariffs on the US, like China, which imposed 34% on its imports from the US. Let's say that the shares lose $3.5 trillion through the war of tariffs that Mr. Trump has started, with Nasdaq having seen its worst day since 2000, with the index falling by almost 5.5%. And what Mr. Trump is aiming for these days is to force Mr. Powell to lower interest rates in the US. However, Mr. Jerome Powell does not promise any political facilitation, implying that he will not do the favor to Trump to lower interest rates just because he wants to. He will continue to monitor the numbers and the population, and when the time is right, he will drop the interest rates in the US. Let's say that the next meeting to cut or not cut interest rates in the US, we will see it in 32 days. And there is, at the the moment we are speaking, a 33% chance to cut interest rates in the US by 0.25 units. However, in 32 days, everything can change. That wraps up the top news for crypto. Today is the 5th of April, 2025. I'd like to remind you that the content you just watched is created for educational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, but rather as investment opinion. Please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and feel free to comment. Take care, everyone, and have a good day.